This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hi, welcome to the Sound of Gold. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And if you are here with us live, I'm excited that you are here. And if you are watching this recorded, I'm excited that you are listening. I am here in my home studio with my cat, Callie, here. Some of you who know of my music and know of my playing, a few years ago, I started doing online shows. And the title of my show was Lisa Eva Gold with Cat Callie. And so she's here with us again. She's the grandma of my cats. And sometimes she likes to play too. Well, we are in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. And I'm so happy that I get to do this for you and for me. I'm a music teacher, piano teacher in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, as well as a radio show host. And I love to play, I love to teach, I love to host the show. And the real purpose of my hosting the show is to shine light on the talent that is in our communities. Not only the talent of our musicians, but the talent of our teachers. And we also want to bring attention to music venues, music schools. And my secret passion to all this, and I guess it's not a secret, is that I just want to keep music alive. We as musicians, we play from our heart. We play from the zone. We play because it's a passion we love to share. And, it's reciprocal because our audiences love to listen to music. We as musicians love to listen to music. And those of us that play, I'll speak for myself, feel like I'm giving back to the world when I share my music. And I think all musicians could agree with that, but I can only speak for myself. With that being said, all of the music I write and I play is original pieces. And I play mostly kind of meditational music that is channeled in from what I feel, energy I pick up in the room, energy from other people, energy from maybe the environment, or even the piano that I play. So it's really special for me when I get the opportunity to play. And there are so many different styles of playing. One style that I don't play too much as, and I have to apologize, I have a cat that's trying to get into a cabinet. So if you hear some banging, I don't know what they're looking for, but I'm not going to interrupt the show because I have your attention and I'm on fire here, and I just want to keep going. So we're going to ignore my cat and we're going to go back to the piano. So when I play piano, I kind of just play, like I said, what I channel in. And I don't have any rhyme or reason other than what I feel. There is a style of piano that I find myself not playing enough. And that kind of piano is jazz. Jazz is so beautiful, and it is a form of music that is improvised. And I'm so excited to invite a guest to our show today, Mr. Steve Samner. And he is a jazz teacher that I've met online. And there are so many great opportunities to work with him to learn jazz. It's actually on my list of to do. And for my listeners out there that are interested in learning jazz, let me introduce you to Mr. Steve Sandner. Are you backstage, Steve?
Hello.
Hello. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm here hosting in Florida. I know you said you are in Michigan, and our listeners, depending on where they're tuning in from, whether it be another state, another country, I've said in past shows, no matter where you are in the world, in your community, in their community, there's always a musical niche of, let's say, open mics or venues or schools, music schools that students can connect with. Although a lot of us work and we have full-time or part-time schedules, and we find it easier sometimes to take a class online, or be able to do that easier on the side when it's like at home and maybe 10 o'clock at night, just get on the piano or an instrument and get online to connect with the teacher. There's so much I know about you, but there's so much I do not know about you. So please share with us kind of like your background and the jazz, all that jazz, I should say.
Well, I grew up with piano because my dad was a piano player. In fact, before he got married, he was a full-time piano player. And then when he married my mom didn't think that was a dignified profession for a married man. So he ended up playing piano part-time. He almost never missed playing on a Friday, Saturday night. And I saw this enthusiasm and I thought, wow, that's looks like a great thing to do. So he started teaching me and I kept playing, eventually found my way into playing jazz.
Now, did you start off as a classical pianist?
I did. I studied classical piano from a young age. And when I was in college, I didn't major in piano. Actually, I majored in trumpet, but I took classical piano lessons and learned some of the classical repertoire in college. But then I soon morphed into playing jazz after that.
Okay. What seemed to be one of the biggest, other than your dad being a player and you seeing that passion and you wanting to kind of grow that more in your life, what really inspired you to take that route to go jazz music but it's different than classical. So what drew you to that?
Well, it is. My dad played a little bit of classical, but he liked to improvise too. And he had a good ear. He could play a song by ear, usually after hearing it on the radio. And I saw him doing that and I thought, well, I can do that too, maybe. So when I was lucky to have teachers in my high school band director, for instance, Bill Lasky, had played professional jazz performance before he became a band director. So he was very helpful in introducing me and others to the world of jazz, which I loved. So
with that, I know you teach and then you also perform.
Right. Yeah, I have a program called Art of the Piano, and it's a mastermind group. We meet on Zoom twice a week, and it's open to people who have some experience on jazz piano who want to improve their jazz piano skills. And it's a very nurturing group and a very positive group of us who get together to help each other. And I help direct them through the methodology and through the course structure into learning jazz pieces with ear training and other means of learning jazz improvisation.
Now, I know I watched a little bit of one of your introductions or webinar. I have to watch the webinar again. I meant to watch it again this morning, but didn't get a chance to. I have seen it before. It's been a while, but you have 3 secrets.
Right. Well, it's learning why jazz pianists have trouble learning to improvise when they're starting. And sometimes if you're a classical player, you don't really know how to start improvising. So I don't want to divulge completely the secret.
Sure.
But if you're playing a song like, do you know the song Blue Moon?
I do. I don't. I would need. I don't know how to play it without the sheet music today.
Sometimes you'll see kids or sometimes even adults chomping away with the left hand. Boom, boom, chun, 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 chun. Blue moon, you saw me standing alone without a dream in my heart. That's the melody. And if you follow the melody and if you learn the melody, you can use that as a guide for your improvisation. That's one of the little secrets. You can take little tiny variations at first, and then you keep expanding and expanding and expanding off the melody until you have improvisations that sound good as you practice doing it.
So more or less, it's from what I'm understanding, and I teach piano. That's the only instrument I teach. However, I do focus on reading, but I also want to make it known to every single student of mine that ear training is so important. So we kind of derail from the note reading to the listening, but it's such a different part of the brain. Can you share anything or any information on that topic, or is that something you don't want to
on my brain? Well, sometimes you can overthink it. I know when you learn the theory, and jazz theory is slightly different from classical music theory. There's a lot of similarities, but in jazz theory, you're learning, you go from 3-note chords to 4-note chords, and then you add other notes to the 5 or 6-note chords, and you're dealing with ninths and flatted ninths and augmented 11ths. But it sounds complicated, but once you actually see it and hear it, you kind of begin to understand it. And if you know the chords, you can use that as a helpful guide in your improvisations. But you can start before that by just following the melody as a guide, and then creating very simple licks that will go along with the harmonies.
So for our music listeners out there that are familiar with chords and are familiar with reading chord charts,
right,
is that more or less what you kind of work with, a chord chart?
Well, there's a thing called a lead sheet.
Lead sheet, yeah.
A lead sheet, for those who don't know, it's not like a sheet music where both right hand and left hand are written out with all the notes. A lead sheet only has the melody of the song, and then it has chord symbols written above the melody, which is a learning process to know the chord symbols. But once you know the chord symbols, you're able to formulate your own chord voicings. And a voicing is how you place the notes of the chord under your fingers. And you can start with very simple voicings and then progress from there. There's a step-by-step process that I have within my group that we use to learn songs. We start with, of course, simpler songs, and then you can graduate to more complex songs like Thelonious Monk or something like that.
Thelonious Monk is definitely one of my favorites. A great inspiration, but it's a little bit that it goes into a little bit more deeper. So I want you to feel comfortable in sharing what you'd like to share with us. And with teaching, with your program, like I have a class I take, and it's like a monthly fee for the year. So is your online program, is it like a set goal, like in 6 months, in a year? Is there like a program within a time space that you have it limited or extended for?
Well, everybody wants to get results in their playing, and everybody has their own goals. Mostly the goals of people in my group are when they want to learn songs, and then they want to improve that by learning the songs in a better way and improving their rhythm, improving their harmonies and voicings. And it takes practice. That's one thing that is stressed by any genre of music, is you need to put in practice time every day. And it doesn't come without practice. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Now, I don't. You probably don't know, and I don't know that the listeners know, and maybe they have because maybe I've said it before. I started playing when I was 5. I started as a classical pianist,
Right.
and I took years and years of lessons, and then I rebelled when I was a teenager, and then eventually went back to playing. And I did. I really did not have a musical inspiration in my family. So I kind of just went on a whim of my parents wanted me to play, and that was kind of the reason why I took lessons and why I played. I'm thankful for it today. I can't say I loved practicing growing up, but I love practicing now because it's a different understanding. And I do try and teach this as well, how to practice, right? Because we're not taught how to practice. We're taught how to learn the instrument and how to learn how to read. But then it's like, okay, go home and learn it. So learning how to practice is a big deal for me to express when I work with my students. With that being said, my question for you is, both you and I, we didn't start out where we are today, okay? And you have so much more experience than I do. And, I'm privileged to have you on my show today. My questions are, when you first began learning, and you did mention a little something here and there earlier, but when you started learning and when you were when you were practicing, when you were climbing the ladder to where you are now, what was it that helped you motivate you to continue going?
Wow, that's a good question. I think it was listening to great music and listening to the great jazz pianists. And I did that from a young age. My dad had the old 78 records
Right.
of the great pianists like Art Tatum. You listen to Art Tatum and you go, that can't be possible that that's only one person playing this piece. And he also had classical music. And you listen to this great music and you wonder what it's like sharing this, being able to play it yourself and sharing your performance with other people. Maybe a little bit of an ego thing, but you want to be able to how can I possibly learn how to do that? And then you realize it, takes some practice. And then, for instance, when I was in second and third grade, that in our particular school, they had this old upright piano they would roll from room to room, and I was always eager to share my song, the latest song that I'd learned, my little simple song with the class and show off a little bit. Yeah. And once you hear that response, there's nothing like it.
That's true. That's true.
You probably did that too, right? You played for your school class?
No, because, and this is silly. Well, maybe not so silly. Growing up, I remember I had 5 different piano teachers, and most of them quit on me except for the last one. She got sick, not because of me, but I remember specifically taking lessons, and I wanted to just play and improvise and do my own thing. And the teachers would get so frustrated with me. They're like, no, you have to learn the foundations. You have to learn the classicals because that's what came before us. That's what started us all out. So being a child, I just didn't like that answer. So, but I do understand it now. I do understand what that feeling is like. I have another question for you, and this is something I forget to ask a lot of times in my show. I know, but I know my listeners, not all of them know. Will you share with us a little bit of your experience with how you get out there and get gigs? You've learned what you've learned, you know what you know, and you have the opportunity to be on stage and to show off, as we call it, but not really. We're doing what we love. So it's a pleasurable show off, I think, to say. But what are some of your secrets of getting gigs? Like you play on Makena Island and other places.
Well, that's another very good question, because that is key, isn't it? You want to get gigs. Yes. You want to get gigs that are maybe to make a little money is
Yes.
always good, but you want the audience response. I remember one of my first gigs was I think I was in high school, maybe 14, 15 years old. And one of the older guys in school said, "Hey, they're having a block party. Why don't we go down there and play some music?" And I go, and we didn't even think about getting paid, but we had a little hat, literally a hat sitting there. And we played music. I don't know how good we sounded, but the people were accepting of us. They went with it, and we must have been somewhat entertaining. I think we made $15 a piece for that block party. That seemed like a huge amount. And then sometimes you create your own gigs to play, like open mic nights. If you're going to go to an open mic night, people will hear you play and they'll say, "Hey, you play piano and I play violin, or I play saxophone. Why don't we try to get a gig over at such and such a place?" And you just keep trying.
I love that. And I've mentioned in previous shows, open mic venues is such a warm, welcoming community of people and music friends that become lifetime friends because you're just there to support each other and inspire each other.
Right.
I don't think it matters what state you're in or what country you're in. We have that. Well, I don't know about every country, but I can speak for the United States. We're here. So I know various people in various states have the opportunity for that.
Right. I think it's a good way to get exposed. And even if you just know one or two songs, you can go to an open mic night and get practice performing.
Yes.
And who knows what could happen.
And you never know who's in the audience. You never know who you're going to meet. And you never know if there's somebody having a party that might invite you to play, or
right.
different venues. Now, you play on Makena Island. Is that something that you just fell into? Is that something that you strive to get there? Or I don't know if I'm asking the right question.
Well, yeah, that's another interesting question. When I first started out, I got my first real gig that was substantial. It was in my early 20s, and I went through an agent, and he was happy with the work I was doing. He said, someday, he also booked the Grand Hotel on Makena Island.
Yes.
He said, "Someday you're going to play up at the Grand Hotel on Makena Island." I said, "No way. I don't want to be trapped on an island." And we kept arguing about it. Well, many, many years later, after agent unfortunately had passed away, I ended up being in need of a gig. I called the music director at the Grand Hotel, and he booked me right away for a few nights. And then after a few years, I've been there 5 seasons now.
Wow. And that's for some of you that don't know, but I think most people know, it's a phenomenal movie with Christopher Reeves and Jane Seymour.
Right.
Yes.
Somewhere in Time.
Somewhere in Time. Yes, one of my favorite movies.
Well, Jane Seymour comes to the island sometimes for some of the reunions for the movie. So one time she came with a group of 25 people, and they had a private dining room, and they had assigned me to play piano for their private dinner in this.
Wow.
And so I started playing very softly, and Jane Seymour came into the room, and she's looking radiant, as she does. And she came over to the piano and said, "Your playing is beautiful." And I was, getting my ego was up a little bit. And about 20 seconds later, she went to the banquet manager, said, "I don't want piano at my dinner party." So the banquet manager had to come over and tell me to leave. I still got paid, but I got fired by Jane Seymour.
Well, maybe it wasn't her day that day.
I think they were more interested in talking about the nostalgia of having worked on the movie than they were in having piano music at their dinner, I guess.
Perhaps.
I didn't take it that personally. It's okay.
So I don't know if in your area, and I don't know in other states, but I'm guessing I know here in Florida, when we perform out somewhere, depending on where we're performing or who we're performing for, whether it be a restaurant venue, a private affair, or a club, the pay is always different. And
Yeah.
Is that the same for you in your area, or do you find that you're kind of locked into what you have going and that it's just a consistent?
Well, the pay can vary widely. You can find gigs that pay. For instance, if you're playing at a restaurant and you're playing there at two or 3 days a week, that's going to pay less per night than it would be if you're playing a private party or a wedding or something like that. So the pay can vary by very wide swings.
Yeah.
I know that some of the jazz musicians, when we were playing jazz, which the kind of music we wanted to play, you said you were talking about how to get a gig. We would go to a restaurant and say, we want to play jazz. We don't really care. We want to be paid something, but we're not trying to make the full dollar amount, but we want to be able to play jazz, and we're pretty confident we can get at least some following. And sometimes we used to play in the old days for, $15 a night wasn't as much.
Right.
When you got to the 80s and 90s, 1980s, 1990s. So, but we would do it. And then sometimes we'd pack the place and the restaurant owner was happy. And we were happy because we got to play the kind of music we liked, and they didn't tell us we had to play this or that. Or we want more Neil Diamond. We don't want so much jazz. Well, if you're getting paid a higher dollar amount, you go along with what the manager wants you to do.
Yes. And I'm asking these questions because I know musician listeners out there, musician friends, I know conversations come up about getting paid. And then I know the bigger the band, the more it gets, broken down. Yeah. So it's not, if a place is going to give you $500, but you have 5 bandmates, you got to split that between 5 plus, the tips.
Right.
So it's, I'll speak for myself. As a musician, I play because I get to. And if I get an opportunity to play and get paid for it, that's really exciting. That's actually my goal. But it's not like, you may agree with me, it's a juggle. Like, we're musicians, but we also have, like, I'm a teacher, you're a teacher. So it's not like a one job. And it's not even a job. It's fun.
Right. Well, there's, like we've been talking about, there's a wide range. I've known some excellent jazz musicians in New York, for instance, you could rate them as world-class players, but they're willing to go out and play a jazz gig for $40 per person. Now that seems like they're really lucky to make their gas money and parking,
right.
for that. But they get a chance to play with their friends, and then if you go and play a wedding, you could make closer to $1,000 per person.
Sure.
That's a wide variation.
Yes. And unless I'm going back a little bit, unless like you have these seasons you've been going back and forth to Makena Island, that's a consistent, and you're so lucky and so privileged to be able to have that opportunity to do that. And, it's just, I guess, being in the right place at the right time and knowing the right people and just, when the stars align, they align.
Yeah, it's nice to have the network. You can grow into a network of musicians who are helping each other get gigs. That's also helpful too. When I called the music director on Makena Island, I had a good reference. He didn't even ask to hear me play. He just booked me for a couple of weeks right on the spot. So,
oh, nice.
I've been to clubs before where they don't ask to hear me play. They said, well, you look like a musician. You look like you know what you're doing. Well, that's a pretty nice compliment, I guess.
Now, what specifically do you love to play when you're out? I mean, do you have the freedom to choose what you're going to play, or do you put practice into your play personally, or do you just know and you just play?
I love all types of music. I listen to pop music and rock and rhythm and blues and from all eras. But I find myself really drawn to the Great American Songbook. I don't know if you've heard this.
Yes.
We used to just call them standards when I was playing my first gigs, because I'm old enough to, when I was very young, to play for a crowd. They wanted World War II songs, and that was kind of the jazz era, and those old standards are still being played today. You still hear songs like Over the Rainbow and As Time Goes By, and songs like that are standards today. And it goes very deep. The song composers like Gershwin, Cole Porter, and Irving Berlin just wrote such great songs that they're still being played today. I'm finding I have to mix in some more contemporary, so I call them contemporary songs, but Billy Joel and Elton John, to me, are more contemporary, even though they're, a few decades old now. But it's in a newer style. And if you get past 1980 or 1990, I don't know too many recent songs.
Well, I mean, I think being alive in today's day and age, and having grown up, I don't know your age, but I don't know that we're in the same bracket. And if we are, we are. And if we're not, we're not. But the fact that we're alive, what's that?
You're much younger.
Maybe. But I also am older than I looked. So I've been told. Well, I mean, I know my age, but I'm told I don't look my age. So I've been playing over 45 years, not to give my age away. But so anyway, my point is that we've grown up in the times where music came to life. Music, I mean, the 20s and the 30s, the roaring 20s, the roaring 30s, that's when it all started, and it just snowballed. And the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, the 90s, I mean, those were, in my opinion, the best of years for music, because icons out there, musicians, artists, were able to express themselves. And we continue to listen to, like, even what you said, like the old classical pieces. We still listen to them today, and we learn from that. We still look to those beginner musicians, those beginner artists, as our idols in a way, because I mean, I still teach Beethoven. I'm still teaching Chopin, and the ones you mentioned as well. I mean, it's just, there's so much, and it's so beautiful that we get this variation and that we get to choose what we can play.
Right. And there always will be the classical music as the foundation for learning piano. For me, it definitely was, because I studied classical music. I played Chopin and Mozart, and I played even one Liszt piece, which was called Un Sospiro, which has very difficult technique. And then I started playing jazz, but I never took jazz piano lessons. I've learned jazz kind of on my own after having the classical foundation.
Sure.
And one of my teachers, when I was young, in 6th grade or so, said, if you can learn to play classical music, you'll be able to play jazz. Well, I'm not so sure that's absolutely true for everybody, but it was true for me, because I learned the classical technique, and you learn something about the harmonies and the compositions, and then learning jazz came naturally to me after that.
Sure, that makes sense. And I know you're not going to share with us the secrets, but
well, I'm open. But I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay. What can you share with us? So can you? Okay. So let's say someone wants to sign and share what you wish to share, and what you don't. It's okay too. I want you to feel comfortable in what you want to tell our listeners. If someone today were to sign up with your class, right, and
Right.
they want to learn jazz, so can you give us just a very brief synopsis? I don't know why I can't say that word, of kind of like how you approach your teaching to teach that style of music. I mean, you said a little bit
Sure.
earlier, but yeah.
Well, one of the first songs we work on, and a lot of jazz teachers use this song as the introductory piece to learning jazz because it has that construction that's so helpful. It's Autumn Leaves. I don't know if you know that song.
Yes.
Do you play it yourself?
No.
Well,
I'm not. I have to work on that. I have to work on attuning my brain more to jazz to be playing that. I've been playing more like Reba McEntire lately, and different styles of Billy Joel.
Reba McEntire. Wow, that's interesting. I was playing in Sedona, Arizona, at an Italian restaurant, and Reba McEntire came in and sat right in the chair right next to the piano.
Oh wow!
And I could not think of a Reba McEntire song to play. I couldn't think of any of her songs. So but she was nice to me and said, thank you. Anyway, but if you take the song, I'm getting off subject. I'm sorry, but
no, it's okay. I do it all the time.
okay. If you're playing a song like Autumn Leaves, the melody starts on E,
Right.
E, F sharp, G, C. That's the first four notes of the melody. Ba da da da.
Right.
And then and that higher C, you'll go to the upper C. Da 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 da. The autumn leaves.
Yep.
And when you hit that upper C, you'll play an A minor seventh chord in your left hand. And if you play it in the root position, you'll play A, C, E, G, all white notes.
Okay.
So, and then when you play the next short phrase, or as you hold the C, you'll go to a D seventh, and the D seventh is a four note chord. I don't know how technical how deeply you want to get into this. But
yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to make this about me. I want to make this for my listeners so that they're understanding kind of what your approach is.
I'll just give you the overall bird's eye view.
Right.
So it's understood. Even if someone doesn't understand music, the first approach is to learn the four note chords. In jazz, you most often have four note chords. In traditional music theory, classical music theory, you'll start with the triads, which are three note chords. So, but you learn your chords and you play them in the root position. That means the note that names the chord is on the bottom, and then you play the melody. And with this, you're reading from a lead sheet. You have the sketch of the melody in front of you, and you play the A minor seventh four note chord, D seventh, then a D major seventh, and then a C major seventh. And once you learn those chords in the root position, and you can play it with the melody, it actually sounds like music. You'll get a nice sounding melody almost right away with that particular song, Autumn Leaves. So that's what we would start with: learning your four note chords and playing them in what's called the root position. The root positions means the name of the chord is the note on the bottom. Sure. And then you can change around the notes a little bit and get different combinations to make it sound even better after that.
Now, in the group classes that you have online, like kind of like a mastermind type of Zoom, do you work with like so many students at a time? Do you do private lessons? Do you have, like, if it's class one and you have 10 students? I'm asking a few different questions. Sorry.
Well, within the class, there are students at different levels for sure.
Okay.
And they all help and inspire each other, because it never hurts for the more advanced students to go over the basics, and
True.
and then the students who are maybe just starting out or have less experience, they might be hearing some stuff explained to the advanced students a little bit over their heads, but yet they get exposed to some of the terminology or some things that might stick with them for the future.
Okay.
So it works like that.
And then you also do private lessons?
I don't do one-on-one lessons anymore, except occasionally with someone in the class who, if they need a little extra help on something particular or special, I'll work with them occasionally like that. But I don't do ongoing one-on-one lessons anymore.
And for those listeners that are just tuning in, you mentioned that because we said this earlier, you have in your online courses, you meet twice a week.
Right.
Okay. And there's a specific time. And then whether they're in Europe or anywhere in the United States.
And that's the beauty of having a group lesson online, because you can be anywhere in any location. I've had students in Canada and Boston and California all meeting at the same time. And it would be even possible if someone from Europe wanted to join, that would be possible. And all the lessons and classes are recorded. So if somebody misses a session, they'll have a recording of the session available. And they develop a friendship and develop a helpfulness together that gives you sort of a emotional safety while you're trying out things. Because as you know, when you're practicing something at first, it doesn't always sound pretty at first. You're working at it. And it's great to have a support group like that will help you and encourage you to get past that.
Yes. And then what I mentioned earlier, a lot of us work, right? So we might not be available at the specific time. You mentioned that it is recorded. And then if students have questions because they've watched the recorded version, are you easily able to are they able to access you? How do I say this? Contact you for questions or email?
Well, during the two weekly sessions, always available, and the members of the group do ask a lot of questions. And also we have a dedicated website that's private that they can post things and ask questions, and I stay on top of that and answer their questions right away or answer them at the next live session.
Yeah, that was my next question. Do you have a private Facebook page but you answered that?
It's a Facebook type page where you can post different things, and you can also access all the previous recorded lessons for the past year and a half. And there's a course structure that has videos and PDFs where they can review things. And we like to stress also the basics, learning your scales and chords, and also encouraging you to practice little inspirational videos and inspirational performances of various artists, which is a very helpful thing when you're learning piano. I'm sure you do. You listen to your favorite artists and you get inspired.
Yes. Yes. And I also will say in your favor, you do send out, because I get them, you send out some fabulous emails. You send out some fabulous emails with terrific jazz tips, or you reference it to a Thelonious Monk or someone else.
Right. And if you want to be on that email list, you can go to that link you were showing on the screen before, or you can just go to artofthepiano.com. artofthepiano.com, and you'll find a link to join that email list, and I'll send out tips a few, if I'm lucky, a few times a week.
Yes, and they're fabulous. I love receiving them, and I always learn something from it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that feedback. That's good to hear.
Yes, because your teaching is not the common, like I'm, well, you don't know, like some of the classes, I still take classes, um, because it helps me just to learn more and to be a better teacher and to be a
Yeah.
better performer. But your teaching is not the mainstream, and that's why I was so excited to also have you on the show today, because your approach is different and your emails aren't the regular, like we're playing a classical song. You go back to, like I said, like an Art Tatum or a Thelonious Monk, and you just go back to the roots. And not everybody does that. So I really value those little tidbits of lessons that you give.
Well, thanks. And I like to vary the complexity too. Sometimes I'll get complex into a Thelonious Monk song, and if that email's too complicated for you, don't worry, because in a next email or two, I'll have something that's more simplified, more entry level. And if it sounds too simple for you, don't worry, I'll have a complex email for you coming up pretty soon. So I try to vary it like that too.
And you know what? I remind myself with the things that seem a little over my head, I look at it as I'm learning something I didn't know before. So
Sure.
For our listeners out there, if you're reading something that you're like, oh, I have no idea what this is, just take it kind of like in stride, because you didn't know it before and now you do. So it's something, a little tidbit I've told myself, like, don't get frustrated and dismiss it because you don't know it. It's just something new. So, be open to it. Be open to the different approaches of teaching and the different things that we don't know. So thank you, Steve. We're almost out of time. Are there any last minute words that you'd like to share with us, and also how our students, our listeners, can contact you?
Well, you can contact me through that website, or you can email me. Feel free to email me, steve@sandnermusic.com, and be happy to answer any questions or issues you have. Also, remember, there's no substitute for practice. Even a little bit of practice every day is going to be helpful.
Yes, I agree. Well, thank you so much, Steve, and we will talk again soon. And I will definitely share some of the information you had emailed me. I look forward to sharing that with the link of the recorded show. So,
well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me. It was delightful talking to you. Thank you.
Yes, same here, and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve. That was great. And for those of you that are just tuning in, we've had Steve Sandner on our show today. He's a jazz piano player. He plays other instruments. He offers online classes, and the art of playing piano, I think it is the name of his contact. I get it confused. I told him I teach with another school called the Art of Piano Playing. So in my brain, I get it mixed up. But that set aside, I will post on my Facebook page, Lisa Eva Gold, a contact for Steve Sandner, and I will also post a recorded version of our show today. In the meantime, I wish everyone out there a very happy and healthy and prosperous new year, and make good choices. This is the year where we all get to be reminded that we're all powerful and that we all inspire each other. And especially music. Music has an inspiration on all of us. No matter what you feel or what you think, there is a song that you are touched by all the time. Tune in next week, find out who my guest will be with me. And, well, I know, but you don't know yet. So tune in, help me keep Music Alive.